Welcome into another Steelers Saturday sit down with Around the 412. I'm Smitty. That is not Tyler. It finally happened. I've read the comments. I've heard you guys calling for it. I fired him. He's gone. Tyler is out of
Good
Around the
move.
412 now and moving forward. In all seriousness, if you guys watched this past Steelers episode, I did say Tyler was not going to be around for a little bit. He's with his family on vacation, enjoying the holidays. He didn't want to take his phone with him and record on the beach. Selfish. But I get it. So I needed some backup, so I wasn't just talking to myself for 30 minutes. So we got John Sargeson, the insider of Around the 412 here. If you ever see me put out information on Twitter, it's really from Sarge. Sarge, how we doing?
I'm great, brother. How are you?
I'm doing good this morning. Anybody that also watches my coffee reviews, Glaze Cinnamon Rolls, a pretty good start to this Saturday morning. We're already in the 20s. Christmas is very near, and it feels very weird. The calendar flies by once football season gets here. I always say that. And that's what we're here to talk about is this football season, the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Detroit to take on the Lions in a matchup that is pretty consequential, especially on the Detroit side of things, but even for the Steelers. So they're going to play this game in the 4 o'clock slate on Sunday. The Ravens play Sunday night, and then they also play Saturday, the following Saturday against the Packers. So the Ravens will have played 2 games in between knowing the result of this Steelers game. So if the Steelers were to beat the Lions, Ravens lose both those games, next 2 don't matter for the Steelers. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not putting, the cart before the horses here, but I'm just saying it's on the table for that to happen. This is a game before the season that I was certainly looking forward to. I feel like even for you, I wouldn't say that you're a Lions fan, but you've long been a fan of what they do. And I know that you're a big Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery guy, the backfield duo. Jared Goff obviously has kind of reinvented his career there. I've long been a fan of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I'm never somebody that wants to see guys get hurt. So no Sam Laporta kind of stinks. Big fan of his game as well. But this offense is just so fun. Number 1 scoring offense in the league right now. And I think that that's where your mind immediately goes to when you think about this Lions team.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how fantasy football can make you a fan of somebody. Like, I didn't know who Amon-Ra St. Brown was until our Dynasty League. And I drafted him. I was like, oh, this guy's name's cool. And then turns out he's arguably
the Sun King.
Yeah, he's awesome. And this year, I literally wanted to draft Jahmyr Gibbs so bad because I named my fantasy football team Gibby for my Carly. My picture is just shirtless Gibby. So I've been rooting for him.
If you take away like positional value because at the running back position, I think there's the argument that he's been one of like the 5 best players in football.
Yeah. And remember, I wonder, were we recording the draft when they got him? And I'm pretty sure we were because I remember we were like, what on earth are you? You just
head
signed
scratcher for sure.
It made no sense.
The 12th overall, I think they took him at.
Yep.
They got a lot of flack for that draft.
They had a pick. Yep. They traded back just to draft him. We were like, if you're going to trade back, why not draft, a need? Turns out we were stupid.
I mean, they have really built that offense kind of within that identity. Maybe not squarely around him, but like just the team speed idea on offense. They also have Jameson Williams, who can burn you. And probably a better route runner, I think, than people give credit for, just because I think people look at the speed and think he's just like a straight line speed guy. But he can do a lot of different things with the ball in his hands. And it's just such a nice compliment to have Montgomery, obviously, along with him, along with Gibbs there within that offense. So very fun offense to watch. Haven't seen a drop off from that offense when they switched to Dan Campbell being the one to call plays, taking that away from John Morton, who had come over from the Broncos after they lost Ben Johnson to the Bears. But Dan Campbell now being the one to call plays. I would say the one thing that is probably the most notable about it is the usage of Amon-Ra. I think it's been more like squarely focused with funneling the passing game through him since Dan Campbell became the play caller and making sure that he gets like touches clearly designed for him within that. But like they haven't missed a beat. I think that there were some people who thought that might happen with him taking over play calling. And then like, what's the impact on the rest of the team? Is he still able to perform his other head coaching duties if he is the one calling the offense? But offensively, that has not been a problem for them. Clearly, like there's a reason that they would be 428 points scored this year amongst the teams that are in the playoffs or just outside would be third, yet they're not in the playoffs because their points allowed would be the second highest of any team currently in the playoff field. So right now they're on the outside looking in, and that's why I mentioned like the desperation aspect of things here. This game much more consequential for Detroit than it is Pittsburgh, and I'm curious to see if we see that or how we see that play out on the field Sunday. If we see a level of desperation come from this team. But it all starts up front, some injuries on the offensive line for Detroit, and they haven't been very good, to be honest with you, from an offensive line perspective. Their starting center, Graham Glasgow, who missed last game, questionable for this one. If you like, I was kind of trying to read into this, trying to get a feel. Seems like the insiders, people around the team, do not expect that he's going to play in this one. So obviously, from an interior perspective, going against Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, Derek Harmon could be a tall task for whoever that would be in its center. And I think that's for me where it starts, because I'm not expecting, Jack Sawyer to win a bunch of matchups against Panay Sewell. Like that's a pretty tall task in general for anybody. And certainly Jack Sawyer making his first start when he hasn't shown a bunch of flash, at least as a pass rusher. I think he can hold his own as a run defender setting the edge, but at least as a pass rusher, not expecting much there. I think the curious part to me, get your thoughts on this as well, is like the coverage plan with Amon-Ra St. Brown, with Jameson Williams. The Steelers don't typically, or at least prior to, Joey Porter Jr. kind of coming into his own, like to match man to man and just say like, this is your assignment. This is your assignment. They would just play like their sides of the field. Do you think that Joey is just going to get Amon-Ra, or do you think like they'll trust Asante Samuel Jr. if he lines up on the other side?
No, I mean, I could see, because Amon-Ra can like kill teams over the middle. So like I feel like it's kind of hard to like play man in the middle of the field. So I feel like I kind of envisioned him locking up JMO just so they don't get beat over like for like a big play. And then like we just got to hope that Patrick Queen is on his P's and Q's. Well, actually, that's a kind of a good pun for him. P's and Q's for Patrick Queen.
It's his initials, yeah.
But like he's just really gonna have to be aware over the middle, because like with Laporta being out too, it's not like they have like a three-headed monster receiving wise right now. It's kind of like two guys and then from some fill-ins. So
and Gibbs out of the backfield, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel Gibbs is going to have way more of a bigger game than Montgomery, because I feel like Gibbs can beat you in the air more than Montgomery can. And with Harmon coming back, I feel like they'll be able to stop Montgomery. But I feel like if they can get to Jared Goff is historically not good once he's pressured. Like he kind of needs a clean pocket.
And what's crazy is that largely comes from the interior of the pocket, which I was talking about. Like he has trouble stepping up into pressure. And he gets a little bit like antsy in the pocket, and he'll step right into guys. And that's what I'm talking about with like the guys in the interior that either haven't been very good or hurt. I think this screams to me like if the Steelers are going to win this game and wreck shop defensively, it's going to be because of the interior of the defensive line having a day. Keanu Benton, Cam Hayward, Derek Harmon, those guys creating pressure on the inside. And maybe like Alex Highsmith forcing them inside could be a big part of it too. But like, it's weird because like the edge pressure hasn't disrupted him a ton. It's really when those guys in the inside of the pocket collapse that Jared Goff gets a little bit antsy. But he also does something that has given the Steelers a ton of trouble this year, and that's get the ball out quick. Like this offense is very rhythm based. They've remained that even with like Tanner Engstrand, who learned under Ben Johnson. That was kind of the identity of that. It's like get, snap, read, throw, and very anticipation and one read based. That has remained the case for this passing game, even with those guys moving on to other destinations. And so that's, again, going back to like just from an assignment perspective or coverage plan perspective, they are going to have to be on their P's and Q's early on in the snap. They're going to have to hold down the fort for at least 2.5 seconds to allow those guys to try to get to Jared Goff. Like you, I don't necessarily think they're just going to say like, this is your assignment, we're sticking to it all day. I mean, maybe they do treat Jameson Williams like the T. Higgins and just give Joey Porter that matchup from an athletic perspective. I mean, I'm not saying Joey's a bad athlete by any means, but I don't think that he can run, or a lot of people can run with Jameson. So I still think, you're going to see him maybe not press him as much. You don't want to get beat in that way. But yeah, I think with Amon-Ra, it's going to be a lot of like bracketed double coverage, potentially Jalen Ramsey, just keeping an eye on him over top because you don't have – if you had Laporta, I think that could change things because you could have him maybe have to take him away. But, like, even if Amon-Ra, who's going to shift inside a little bit as well, like Brandon Echols has played very well. And I think that there's as long as you got more than one set of eyes giving him attention, I do think that there's the chance for them to be able to keep these guys in front of them at the very least. It could be very annoying to watch, but I think that we could see them go back to like a lot of cover 3 stuff and just catch and tackle where it's like a bend, don't break style, and they're content holding them to field goals as long as it keeps them out of the end zone.
Yeah, I feel like you guys always talk about like the way that the Steelers can win and lose, and the way that they can lose is letting up like those big plays, like runs after the catch and stuff. So I feel like as long as they can kind of just like keep everything in front of them, that's kind of like their way to victory there. Because if you can hold Detroit, if you can hold like the number 1 offense to field goals, then the offense is kind of buzzing right now. I do think that Aaron Rodgers should maybe put the thing back on his wrist because he's been playing better with it on. So even if it's just for show, I mean, you got to keep the juju high here.
Mm-hmm. So you think it has more to do with, I mean, maybe this is half joking, but more to do with the aesthetic of it than it does. Like a lot of conversation's been made, even though the numbers haven't been eye popping, how much of a difference Adam Thielen and MVS have made for the passing game, and maybe
Adam Thielen, who knew he was insane? I mean, I'm sure they knew, but he's such a good blocker. Like,
I'll be honest. I get the like people are probably going to comment and be like, he's being paid to do whatever he's asked to do. He should be doing it. But like for a 35-year-old, playing in what is probably like very well his last season at his last stop to like commit to it that much, man, like I have a hard time not tipping my cap to that, even if it's his job. And I get that. Dude,
I mean, he said in that post that this is his last year. And it's like normally guys would be like, if you're a receiver, there's a pride aspect to it where like you want numbers, and like in your last year you want to like, have like beef up your resume. But he kind of just seems like he's cool just being like a team guy. And I know you guys talked about last week, but it's like just having those kind of guys in your locker room to kind of show like the receivers, like it is a collaborative effort here. Like this isn't just, like we all want to, get fed, but at a certain point, if you want to win the game, you kind of need all hands on deck, and you need everybody to go outside their comfort zones a little bit. And he's showing that from a leadership perspective.
I mean, kind of going hand in hand with DK having to play gunner for a snap and kind of just embracing that and doing.
I saw that clip today. He was talking about on Chris Coon's podcast, and he basically said like as soon as someone was hurt, he was like, "All right, sure, I'll do it. I don't care."
Yeah,
I didn't sound as cool saying it as him, but
And he also said, like, yeah, I never want to do that again, though, either. Like, he had no idea, like, how it worked, I guess, from at least I'm sure he's watched it happen. But, like, once you're on the field and it's happening to you, when there's 2 guys over there as opposed to just one, like, the way that works, he's like, I beat one of the guys, and then out of nowhere, I just have another guy hit me from the side. And I was like, what in the world's going on here? I felt like I was in, like, a chamber. But, yeah, so I do think that just speaks to this team and everybody kind of having the same mindset and buy-in, which I do think is necessary. Joel did say trust the Steelers to play man-to-man more than do the Rams, who was obviously the Lions' last opponent, who don't have the corners for it. And I definitely agree with that. Well, certainly that they have better corners than the Rams do. I just to Sarge's point about the middle of the field stuff, I think that's where it gets dicey. I don't want them getting caught up in like the mesh stuff. I trust them more to pass on assignments than I do being able to run with these guys across the middle of the field, especially like the Jameson Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfields of the world. So yeah, we'll see from that perspective. I do think the one thing kind of flipping the script here that's interesting now that you already brought up Aaron Rodgers and Thielen, so that could be a good segue to flip it and talk about the Steelers offense against this defense. Now we've seen them lean into a little bit more 11 personnel, I think because of the receivers they brought in, more interchangeable. Thielen's a guy that can play inside and outside. You already mentioned very good blocker. MVS, the way that he stretches the field in a way that they didn't have before, at least from like a bigger body perspective. They didn't have a 6'4" guy that could run past people in that way. But 13 personnel is what the Rams leaned into and just destroyed the Lions out of it. I do think that's interesting because of the Steelers line up in that. They do have 2 tight ends that I think can at least stretch the field a little bit in different ways. Like Pat's very good at finding soft spots in the zone and can beat man a little bit. John New's just a really good athlete once you get the ball in his hands. And then Darnell, I mean, is just going to beat the crap out of people. And is kind of like always open just because of his size. Throw the ball up and he'll either catch it or probably get a defensive pass interference. So curious to see how much 13 personnel we see in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's quite a bit because I'm sure Tomlin went back and watched that Rams-Lions game to see how McVay had so much success out of it against the Lions. And the explosive play rate. The Lions are giving up a bunch of explosive plays this year, pretty much more than anybody else. Their secondary, largely due to injuries, is probably the reason this isn't right now a playoff team and may not be a playoff team this season due to that. I mentioned the points that they've allowed this year, but a bunch of explosive plays too. The Steelers, not a team that like on the season has created a bunch, but we've seen more over the last couple of weeks. You go back a couple of weeks against the Ravens, they created 5 explosive plays through the air, able to get some last week as well. I think that's going to be the big thing is this passing attack going to be able to keep the Steelers in this game?
I just don't think that, like, it's definitely going to be a big Kenny G game again because I feel like, to me, it's going to be interesting to see where Hutch lines up because they move him around.
Oh, man.
So,
yeah, and Dylan Cook played very well, but he is a 4th string tackle.
Yeah, and, like, they're probably not going to do that thing where they line him up in the middle because, like, Zach Frazier and Sam Malu or McCormick can hold their own against him. But I feel like that, like, if they just keep him on the left side, we might be in bad news because he can beat top tier tackles, let alone.
I expect Darnell. Yeah, Darnell's going to be like attached at the hip to Dylan Cook, I think, when we see Hutch over there. To be honest, just from like a football fan perspective, I'm kind of hoping that they give us the Hutch Fatanu matchup. Like, I just want to see. I want to see that test. I want to see, like, Fatanu's been fantastic this year. This is, like, to me, a popcorn matchup if they allow it to happen. He's going to play over there at least some.
Dan Campbell might just because he loves football. Like, he loves dudes hitting each other, so he might just be like, hey, go beat the best.
If he's not, though, I mean, I would think that they would be like, okay, we know that you can rush from the other side too. Go do it, as opposed to just like bashing their head into a wall every single snap just because they want the test. Like, if he's not winning against Fatanu, I assume that he'll shift over to the other side and give it a shot against Dylan Cook. And that is where, as much as I appreciate the effort from Dylan Cook, and maybe he is their best option at left tackle, I don't know. We need to see more of a body of work. I obviously wouldn't expect that he's going to do very well in that matchup overall against Aiden Hutchinson. So, but like, that's the one like dude on that defense, like to that level. That's why this hasn't been a very good unit. The amount of injuries they've had, Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, both still out. I mean, Branch's season's over. Kirby Joseph missed most of the year. Alex Anzalone is like an okay player at off-ball linebacker.
He gets hurt every game. Every game he comes out for like 2 series. Again.
They went and got DJ Reed, who is okay, but hasn't been as good this year as he has been across from Sauce in previous years with the Jets. Alim McNeil in the middle of that defense missed like all of last year. But like, so they have some good players, but they don't have any dudes outside of Hutch because of injury. The safety duo, obviously very good when healthy. So I don't know. I think this team is very beatable through the air. You mentioned about it being a Kenny G game. And if I'm picking one of the running backs, I agree, just because I think a lot of their work is going to be done like extensions of the run game as opposed to the run game, like screen game, maybe getting them like quick stuff out of the backfield. So Kenny Gainwell leads his team in receptions right now. I wouldn't be surprised if he leads them again on Sunday.
That's such a crazy thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like
one of 3 running backs in the NFL to lead their team in receptions.
I remember when they signed him, and I think I texted you, and I was like, I think they just signed him so they could have somebody else wear number 14 on the team. Like, that was like the reason why. I
thought he was gonna be the kick returner.
Yeah,
like, that is the role that I thought he was gonna have.
Because they have him for what, like 1.2 mil or something like that. Like, it's not. He's probably going to make a lot of money elsewhere. I just hope and pray it's here because I was a big fan of the Najee Warren duo, but like this duo is night and day different because like they're at least more explosive.
I think what's going to be interesting is like, how do you weigh what he's done this year as opposed to like, you spend a 3rd round pick on Caleb Johnson and would like to work him in at some point here. Like it's tough. I think that there's certainly space if they keep operating this way offensively, to have all 3, especially if you're not committing,
I think
more
it
than a
depends
couple years.
on like when they feel like their window is, because if their window is shorter, like if they're like, okay, the next like 1 to 2 years we can probably make a run, then they'll probably value Gainwell over Johnson. But if it's the opposite, if they're like, hey, this might be a little bit like a couple year process, then like the Patriots right now, like they kind of just like when they were getting Drake May, they're like, all right, the first year maybe not going to be well. So if it's a long term vision, I feel like Caleb Johnson might be the answer there. But
I think this is why people get frustrated, is because it's like they're somewhere in the middle, right?
Mhm.
Like, because they're good enough right now to be a playoff team, and in the AFC that might be enough to make them a contender to get there, just because it's like it's completely wide open. I don't know that I'd say that there's like, to me, a team that stands head and shoulders above the rest. It's all based about matchups, like who matches up better against who, than it is just like one elite team or 2 elite teams at the top that everybody else is chasing. But like the other part of it is we still don't have that long-term quarterback. We have a very expensive defense who a lot of those guys are aging. Who knows if they're going to be around in a year or two. So like, I just think it's hard to balance where they're at right now. So I understand what you're saying about like that could be the direction, like tell us what direction to go with which running back to pair along with Jaylen Warren moving forward. But like, I don't even know the answer to that.
I just
they
feel
don't
like
have.
that's their problem. I mean, we've been saying it since like 2017. Like they can't commit one or the other. It's like they go into the year and they're like, yeah, we're one of the best teams. And then like the year starts playing out and then all the fans are like, hey, maybe we should just like not be great for a year. And then they just don't want to,
Branson Sloppy Second said, I would love for us to lock this up early to see an entire game for Johnson. Definitely something that's been on my mind. Everybody mentions the Will Howard aspect of that, and I agree, but certainly Caleb Johnson, I think, falls into that same bucket, where if you are able to have this division locked up prior to that Ravens game, heck, like I said, if they beat the Lions and the Ravens lose the next 2, that happens before that Sunday game against the Browns. So you'd have 2 games without knowing. No, I'm not. That to me, that's too much of a layoff for the starters. So I don't know how you'd want to go about doing that. So it wouldn't be both games, but you could treat one of those games like a glorified preseason game, basically, and let Will Howard and Caleb Johnson play.
Is the winner of the AFC North just solidified the 4, or is there like
they need some weird stuff to happen? Like the Jaguars, one of the teams would have to fall apart. Either Jaguars or Texans and lose 2 of their last 3, which like one of them is going to because they play head to head. But like their other games, like need one of them to lose to the Raiders or something like something that's probably not going to happen would have to happen.
Because that's kind of relieving in a sense. Because then if week 18 literally doesn't matter, like we can't move up or down, then I'm down. I'm down, especially with the way that they've been like weird injuries this year. I'm down to just kind of like, all right, Caleb Johnson, go do your thing for a whole game. Let's see what we have here. I don't know, like, because I just don't want to have to see Mason Rudolph. That's my like. I would like to see
in a meaningless game. I think it's Will Howard. Like, when I say treat it like a preseason game, I don't think that they would treat it like a preseason game in the sense that it's like constantly players rotating in quarters. Like I think it's just like a full game of Will Howard and a lot of Caleb Johnson, and I'm trying to think who else we could potentially see. Heck, maybe you give Roman Wilson a helmet in that one.
Hey, maybe.
Yeah,
Joe, I don't want to think about that, pal.
Defensively, I was going to bring that up here in a second. Defensively, maybe you see a lot of like Logan Lee and Asazia Tomowo.
Is Corey Trice just not ever playing football?
Well, he's out for the season.
I know, but I feel like he's been out for the season for 3 years.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. And now, like Dante Kent went down the same path. He was coming back from injury first day of practice, back from injury. He suffered a season-ending knee injury.
Yeah,
like it's just I like the mental fortitude to play this game after suffering. I mean, especially in the case of Trice, where it's been multiple seasons in a row now. Like Allen actually had like a one-on-one conversation with him that he talked a little bit about. It might have been this week, where like he was like, I'm just so impressed by the guys like mental, because there's a lot of guys that I think at this point would have just packed it in, but he's like excited to like attack the rehab and come back and just like because I don't know why this keeps happening, but I love this game, even though it doesn't always love me.
Yeah, I feel like if Corey Trice is given a chance for his body just doesn't give up on him. There's so much, there's so many chips on that guy's shoulder now, where I feel like he literally is going to force himself into being a lockdown corner just because he's like, listen, I haven't.
It's not from a talent perspective.
I know
he's good. There's people in that building that think he's more talented when healthy than Joey. I'm telling you. I've heard people say that. So but he can't stay healthy. It doesn't really matter how talented he is. Brooklyn in here. Good morning. Funny you say that, Sarge, because Kenny G, the Patriots, scares me. Fits the mold of the typical New England receiving back. Yeah, we got another James White.
Like Kevin Falk, even he would be that for them, and it would be so annoying.
Yeah,
Kevin Falk is the easiest.
The thing is, Travion's a very good receiver. He hasn't done it a bunch, but did it at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even think that they need another guy like that. But I mean, yeah, don't put that into the atmosphere. Mostradamus 9, with the way that the draft class is shaping out, any chance they don't go QB in the first round? In that case, what would be their plan? Well, the fact that your name is what it is, I feel like you should be telling us.
Yep.
I have said the entire time I've been steadfast on they're going to take a quarterback. I think that they laid their plans out in Sharpie that was going to be the case. The thing with that, though, is that plan is kind of reliant on there being an ample number of quarterbacks there. I don't know that that's going to be the case. So I'll bring up what I'm just saw out of the corner of my eye here in a second. But I think the only way that they don't go quarterback in the first is if there's not enough. With the amount of guys that are going back to school, transferring, the NIL has completely shifted the way that college football works. And I'm all for guys getting paid, but it's just so different. I'm still trying to adjust my mindset to that, where guys are agreeing to terms to return to school, which just sounds nuts to me. So I don't know how many quarterbacks are going to come out. If it's just Mendoza and Dante Moore that are first round caliber guys, maybe we don't see it happen in 26 for the Steelers, because I don't think that they're going to be within striking distance of those guys.
Yeah, because I don't think that I'd be willing to give up more than one first round pick to move up that far to get one of those. I'd rather
one additional. It's obviously going to be the same first.
Yeah, I'm fine giving up obviously 2026. That's when it's happening, and then one more. Yeah. But to get if it's just two, you'd have to give up your entire they're gonna have to probably trade TJ or
and the thing with that too is if there's the team is just going to take those quarterbacks. There's more than two other teams that need quarterbacks that are going to be picking in front of the Steelers. They're not going to have the opportunity to trade up to do it. So yeah,
there's 5 teams probably this offseason drafting wanting to draft a quarterback. Hopefully the Browns think that Shador is the guy.
And there's some that are on the bubble that you can make the case for, right? The Dolphins all of a sudden could.
No, Dolphins are trading Tua to Pittsburgh. You didn't see that?
No. I did appreciate that Publix was also listed on the destinations. But to answer the other part of that, where do they pivot to? I mean, the other spot I think about right away is receiver. I mean, that's kind of where the mock drafts have kind of been.
It's going to be tackle, and you and I both leading. Know it.
I mean, it better not be tackle again. What the heck are we doing? Mekhi Lemon out of USC has been the most recent one shown, and I love that from that perspective. No idea who's throwing him the ball, but I'm all for that. Yeah, it might be genuinely Sarge. Okay, we got to address Beefy's thing here. Not related at all. Dove off a 20-foot volcanic rock into the ocean yesterday. Dislocated my right arm, have an acute fracture at the joint at the top of my arm, and tore. I'm assuming that's my rotator cuff. Go Steelers. So add one more to the injury report. The Steelers had a pretty lengthy injury report this week. It sounds like Tyler definitely DNP and out. This upcoming one.
Sad to
brutal,
see it.
Pal. That is brutal.
Really needed him. Yeah, I've been
told you're a father now. Let's keep that in mind when we're making these choices.
Yeah, how are you gonna hold your precious daughter?
Yeah.
But I feel like, to Mr. Amos' point though, haven't you and I both been told to keep an eye out for Mac Jones next year if the Steelers don't like the class?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I got
very
texted
true.
last night and he said, please God, don't let Ty Simpson come to Pittsburgh.
Well, Joel said Ty Simpson, welcome to Pittsburgh. That was when, like, that. I don't know if you paid attention at all to that Alabama-Oklahoma game.
No, I wasn't home.
What a tale of two halves.
Yeah, the first half, our guy texted us and said, I hope. No, wait. But essentially, he said,
this would be trading for, by the way, Joel. Because Mac Jones probably going to get traded somewhere. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, it was just funny that he texted me in like the first half and he said, I really hope this guy does not come to Pittsburgh. And then I look at my phone and they won.
Yeah. Yeah, he played pretty well after that, honestly. I think those texts might have gotten to Ty Simpson's ear. Move up and take Tate instead. That's Carnell Tate, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. Certainly a first-round pick. Certainly somebody that I think will be on the Steelers' radar, but I think he'll go earlier. I think Lemon definitely in that sweet spot for them. You're right. I can see it now. Jacoby Brissett is your 2026 quarterback. Jacoby Brissett is absolutely one of the 32 best quarterbacks playing in the NFL right now. I don't know if you've been seeing what he's doing for Arizona.
Yeah, but that's a ridiculous statement. He's one of the top 32 starting quarterbacks.
I'm saying he should be a starter still in this league. Like, he's a top 32 quarterback. So he should be starting somewhere.
He's definitely a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, that's true. Oh no. Carnell is going to do well in KC. I hate it. Yeah. We'll see if they finally invest in that way. Well, I mean, obviously Worthy was a relatively high selection, but
I've completely backed myself into a dream of trading 3 first-round picks for Joe Burrow. I started to think about that this past week.
It's not gonna happen. I'm sure Cincinnati would be on board with trading with Pittsburgh.
No, it's not going to happen, but it's more or less like that would be really cool.
We need to pull off something like the Brandon Lau trade that happened with the Pirates. Get a third team involved. That's where Burrow goes first, and then they reroute him to Pittsburgh.
What a great day for Pirates baseball yesterday. I know we're not talking about the Pirates, but what a great day.
Yeah, I think I'm going to make a video, not like a full-blown podcast, but a video about it for the channel here.
I know. You know what his WRC plus last year was?
Ooh, I'm going to say something.
OPS plus, sorry.
Oh, OPS plus?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I'm thrown off because I was thinking of something in the 100s, and now I'm trying to reroute my brain.
No, you're right.
Really?
116.
Okay.
So, better than anybody on the current team. That's good.
Good play. Yeah, I think he's automatically their best hitter.
Yep.
I'd rather give up the first for Burrow than for a trade up to a rookie. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about probably giving up something pretty close to if you're trading up in this class with only 2 guys. So, good point. Just don't think it's realistic to think, given the team that Burrow is on, that they would do that to Pittsburgh. Now, other teams should absolutely be having that conversation. I don't think it's going to happen, but other teams should absolutely be trying to pry him away with the way that he's talking. Like, getting his Instagram DMs and be like, so you're pretty sad then, huh?
Do you like fries in your sandwich, pal?
They did it to you again, huh?
Did
you see our offensive line protection numbers?
Yeah, they're forward them. Which is very odd because that was our complaint.
Yeah, how weird is it to like wake up on a Sunday getting ready for the Steelers game and that not be a concern?
Yeah,
for you going into a game. Like, it's the least of our worries.
Dude, Monday was awesome because it was like a stress-free football game I was watching and then also watching Raw on my phone. It was like one of the best Monday nights I've had in quite some time.
Happy for you.
Thank you.
All right. So typically the way that this goes, Sarge, is get into some bold predictions here. You already sent me one I think that certainly classifies as bold for the offense, but typically do offense, defense, and then give our final score predictions. Let the comments have it, and then we get out of here. So offensively, since I know that you have one, we can start there. My offensive bold prediction is Aaron Rodgers this season. His season high passing yards is 284 currently. I think he goes over that. Whether it's hitting his first 300-yard passing game or not, I don't know, but certainly going over 284. I just think that this team is very attackable through the air. Suffered a bunch of injuries on the back end. Like, you don't even need to go over top. You can live in that, like, get the ball to DK within 5 yards of the sticks and have him create after the catch. But like MVS, certainly a guy that can take the top off. Maybe we did a Calvin Austin explosive in there as well. Again, teams have been living out of and having a bunch of success against the Lions out of 13 personnel. So I think Aaron Rodgers season high passing yards this week.
Yeah, I text you mine, but I think that mine is that Adam Thielen gets his first touchdown because the way that like their secondary is not all that great, like realistically. So like I think it might be a red zone touchdown, like kind of like it might be actually similar to the MVS one last week, where they kind of just like accidentally scheme him open, or I don't know. I just kind of feel like I agree with you. The Rodgers is gonna, I think, have a good day. I think that Kenny Gainwell has a good day. I also think that Arthur Smith tries to run that halfback toss to Jonnu Smith more than 2 times.
Oh boy, that felt very much like we're playing the Dolphins. Let's give him this.
Dude, when it was happening, I didn't realize he was in the backfield. I was like,
yeah.
The play was starting, and I was like, who's that? Is that Caleb Johnson? That's cool. And then next thing I knew, number 81 was just running by.
Nope. Yep. Jonnu out of the backfield, which, like, to me, those are honestly like the ways they get on the ball. Like the way that they've utilized him is basically like a running back that catches the football. Mm-hmm. Like you look at everything that he's done, everything that's worked this year has been at or behind the line of scrimmage for Jonnu. So
I feel like if they just leaned into not like if they need a tight end to block, I don't know why they just don't.
He should not be on the field.
That's what I mean. Like instead they just force it and they try to make him be better at it. You can't do it. Like
I think Jonnu takes a penalty every time they ask him to block his face.
You can't teach me to run under a 5.40. It's not going to happen. So like they cannot teach him to be a good blocker. So like utilize him in other ways. Like it was cool to see a creative game plan. We haven't seen that in a while. So like why not just keep up with that? If you know it's a first and second down and you want to run the ball, just don't have him out there. You're not going to hurt his feelings. Like he doesn't want to be out there every like he'd rather be productive than look silly, in my opinion.
Logan said I drink peppermint mocha coffee every morning for the rest of my life to get Burrow to Pittsburgh. I appreciate you taking that on. I appreciate you taking that on because I would not. DK multi touchdowns. Ooh,
that'd be cool.
It was 7 years to the day when Artie ran the tight end toss to Jonnu. Really? Okay.
I love weird stuff like that. Anybody who knows me knows I love me a weird stat.
Yeah, I was sitting here trying to think like if there's somebody with Detroit ties, but I don't think so. Art Millette better not have an interception, assuming that he plays in this game for the Lions.
Wait, he plays for the Lions?
Yeah. They've had that many injuries in their secondary, yes, that Art Millette is currently on the Lions. Anyways, all right. So defensively, thought about this one for a while, was going back and forth with it. We talked about the interior pressure that I think is going to be generated. I think that he almost had one last week. Alex Highsmith, spot drop pick. I think he's going to show pressure, take a couple steps back. Goff throws one right into his belly at some point in this one with that interior pressure.
I like it. And that kind of goes, so I don't know how to combine this, but okay. I think my bold prediction is they have 5 combined sacks and turnovers. I know that's like a convoluted thing.
The Steelers just themselves, their defense.
Yes. Yeah, I think they're going to have 5 combined sacks and turnovers. Because like with Jared, like I am a huge Jared Goff fan, but I mean everybody knows his one weakness is, like you said, he steps up in the pocket. So like if they can press at the line of scrimmage so that they cannot logically get a quick pass off, like it's going to have to be everything working perfectly. But like if they can like get the receivers off of the line of scrimmage a little bit and then just create a little bit of pressure for Goff where he can't immediately get the ball out, he'll step up into a couple sacks by accident. And I feel like even with that, like I feel like Jalen probably has something because like he's probably just going to be like the center fielder like he's really good at. But yeah, I think 5 combined is my bold.
Okay. I like it. Brooklyn said, "Hey, I'm late to the chat. Did you guys discuss the pros and cons of playing on turf versus outside on grass?" We did not. I think any player will tell you that they'd rather play on grass. Any owner that installs the turf,
Except Kurt
obviously
Warner.
one too for the durability reason. It's going to last much longer. Obviously, playing in a dome like Detroit does, that's why they do it. But it also can get like very hot. Um,
Have you ever played on turf in football?
I don't think.
I remember I had to play at Moon, and it was like, I mean, this is no one cares about high school football, especially when you didn't amount to anything. But like playing on that, like it's just like so annoying. It's like you kind of like for me, I always got stuff in my shoes, so I hated it. But like, I mean, players all the time talk about how they'd rather play on grass.
I mean, because for them, it's the injury risk is much lower.
No, it will not
Which is
benefit the Steelers to play inside. It benefits the Lions because Jared Goff sucks outside.
Yeah, I mean, for the Steelers, just the way that they're built, I kind of would always prefer to like have the elements and them drag a team down to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that that's the ultimate equalizer is the weather.
Yeah.
So when that's not a play here, in this high-powered, explosive offense is able to be at their best, you don't have to worry about the weather. That is what. Brooklyn might not even be anywhere close to this part because she said she was going to go back and watch the beginning. Never mind. I thought she was watching from the beginning and commenting. She said, "Who's the other guy? Love his energy."
Let's go.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to think. So Sarge is with us during NFL draft stuff for sure.
I used to be the video editor.
Used to be the video editor for us on YouTube. But yeah, get familiar. Joel said Sawyer.
I think about sports a very different way than, like, especially during games than most people.
Used to text me his notes.
Yeah, except they went on a losing streak, so I stopped. I did it for the better of the team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's really funny was when I asked Jenny her thoughts during the game because she has no idea what's going on.
I mean, to be honest, we're about to get in the final scores. She's got the same point differential that I did. Joel said defense, Sawyer gets a strip sack, Joey gets an INT. Love it. I think that would bode very well for the result, honestly, if they're able to get just like Sarge with the 5 combined sacks and turnovers. If you got 2 turnovers right there, I think that would bode very well for the Steelers when it comes to the final score of this one, which we're about to get into. All right. So we've set the table, I think, pretty well at this point. Put our final score predictions out there. I think the Steelers are going to play well in this one. And I'm not looking for a silver lining or anything like this here. I'm not looking for a moral victory, but I do think that they're going to play very well. I think what the Lions have been, or how they've been exploited, kind of goes hand in hand with the way that the Steelers offense has played the last couple of weeks. I expect a similar approach, to be honest with you, that they had offensively the last couple of weeks. Again, maybe we do see a little bit more 13 personnel than we do 11 personnel. That could be one tweak, but I think they're going to try to create a lot of the same plays out of it. I don't think they're going to run the ball out of 13 personnel as much as you would think a typical Steelers team would. I think they could pass out of it quite a bit. With that being said, I have a hard time thinking that they're going to limit or shut down this Lions offense that has scored 24 plus points in every single home game this year, even in their losses. I'm going to go with the Lions, a desperate Lions team who, if they lose this game, probably are not making the playoffs. Even if they win, might not be in the playoffs. I'm going to take the Lions to win this one, 30-24.
Have you seen that weird Jahmyr Gibbs stat on touchdowns for the year per game?
No.
He basically only scores 3 or 0. And last week,
what?
It's very weird. But last week he scored 0. So, unfortunately, that means bad. I'm mad about this, but my prediction actually changed from the beginning of the show.
Oh, okay.
So I think that because like the more I just like keep talking about it, there's a very it's a pretty direct path to victory in my opinion. Like all we talked about with like disrupting the Lions offense. I think that the Steelers offense can do some stuff against the Detroit offense. So I will go 31-26 Steelers.
Wow.
I think 3 field goals, 2 Jahmyr Gibbs touchdowns, and then the Steelers. Maybe it's like a comeback, but I think they could do some stuff.
I definitely think they can do some stuff. I had to look this up. This is hilarious. So Jahmyr Gibbs since October 12th against Kansas City, 0 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, 0 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, 0 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns,
Oh, is it
0
2?
touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 0 touchdowns. Yeah, there's 1-3 in there against Dallas on December 4th a couple weeks ago.
I knew it was,
but it
like
is every other week.
Yeah.
It's been 0 or multiple since October 12th.
I'm in the first round of playoffs, and I need him. So that's why I picked him to do well with the Steelers to win.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, I didn't have the receiving on that as well. So yeah, 2 of those were 3.
3.
Yeah. So the Giants on November 23rd and against Washington on November 9th were also 3. So it's either 2 or 3. But either way, the trend is 0 touchdowns or multiple touchdowns every other week.
Yeah. I'm weird stats find me on Twitter, I'm telling you. Like, I just attach myself. I love them. Because that doesn't make any logical sense. Like, there's no but that's what makes football so great.
That's weird. Yeah. So that's the key, is not letting Jahmyr Gibbs score 3 touchdowns. Key to the game. But yeah, the number's 24. That's the number you got to get to. They haven't scored less than 24 at home this year, so you kind of just have to bake that in to your prediction. Real quick before we get out of here, don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but should I start Goff or Burrow this week in fantasy? So obviously Goff playing against the Steelers. Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Who do they play? They play Miami. Is that right?
I have no idea.
I'm trying to find it here real quick. Yeah, they play Miami.
For
Burrow.
Sure, Joe Burrow then.
Yeah, I'm using Burrow. I don't think either one's necessarily a bad play, but
I'm playing Herbert this week instead of Goff.
Okay.
Because they play.
I understand why.
Hold on. I need to see who the Chargers play, because whoever the Chargers play run a lot of zone, and Herbert is historically, like this year, really good. Oh, he plays Dallas, so Dallas plays the 5th most zone.
They stink.
Yeah, Justin Herbert is really good against his zone.
I'll say Burrow's been kind of shite since the surgery from a numbers perspective, but I understand why going against Dallas you're thinking that's going to turn around. Steelers 26, Lions 24. Perk Rogers handshake. Perk beefy. Yeah, I know that's a wild injury, pal. I can't wait to see. I mean, hope you enjoy the trip still. That's rough.
That sucks. That's gonna suck to fly with too.
Yeah, man. All right. We're going to get out of here. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you have not on your way out. Hit us in the comments, your thoughts, anything that we talked about today. If you got a question for us to answer next week on the show, be sure to throw that down there as well. And then drop your predictions, offense, defense, and your final score predictions, whether you're watching live or watching back. We certainly appreciate you taking some time to join us here on this fine Saturday for Steelers Saturday Sit. Don, Sarge, you have any closing thoughts?
No. Go Steelers, and everybody be safe.
And, maybe this is the last thing that you'll see before then. So I'll say, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody out there. But we'll be back next week for a Steelers show. And again, I'll probably do something Penguins and Pirates wise, but we'll see. Time permitting. No promises. So throwing that out there. You guys know the drill. Follow us on everything at Around the 412. We put this up as a podcast as well, so be sure to use a 5-star review and subscribe if you're listening somewhere, Apple, Spotify, wherever your podcast from. We are there. Just search Around the 412. But that's going to do it for Sarge, for Smitty. This has been another Steelers Saturday Sit Down, and we'll see you next week.